Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're wrapping up our look at World War II's major figures. We've covered Hitler, we've covered Churchill.
And now Mussolini. It's fascinating, really.
Right. Often seen as, Hitler's sidekick almost. But the story's much more complex, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. So many people just assume Mussolini was following Hitler's lead. But when you dig into the sources, it's kind of the other way around in many ways.
He was the innovator.
In some key areas, yes. He was the architect of things Hitler later adopted. You're going to see how the student actually followed the master here, but maybe not the master you expect.
Exactly. And that's what this deep dive is all about. Not just dates, but the why, the connections, the spirit of the time. We've got tons of historical accounts to unpack this.
Especially for the Italian people, what this all meant for them.
Okay, so let's tackle that twin idea first. Mussolini and Hitler. The timeline's crucial here.
It really is. Mussolini, born 1883, Hitler, 1889, 6 years older.
And more importantly, Mussolini takes power in Italy in 1922. Hitler doesn't get there in Germany until 1933. That's, 11 years?
11 years difference. So it makes you ask, right? If Mussolini's older and he gets power first, well, who's influencing whom?
It points towards Hitler learning from Mussolini, doesn't it?
Our sources strongly suggest that. Hitler walked in his footsteps. But to really get Mussolini, you need to understand the Italy he came from, late 19th century Italy.
Which, and this always surprises me, Italians themselves sometimes call a very young nation, despite, Rome and all that history.
It sounds odd, but it's true for the modern state. The Kingdom of Italy only unified in 1861. Rome joined even later, 1871.
So only about 22 years before Mussolini was born.
Exactly. Before that, it was just, a collection of states. Florence, Genoa, Naples, you name it. Not one single Italy.
So how did this new unified Italy start acting on the world stage?
It was ambitious. It wanted to be taken seriously. It jumped into things like the Crimean War, sent 10,000 soldiers.
And then World War I, obviously.
Right. Joined the Triple Entente. Ended up one of the big four winners at Versailles. This built a new kind of assertive Italian identity. And that ambition really set the stage for Mussolini.
Okay, so that's the backdrop. What about Mussolini himself, his early days?
He was born in Emilia-Romagna. His dad was a blacksmith, his mom a Catholic school teacher. So fairly humble beginnings.
But smart, curious?
Incredibly so. Self-taught, read absolutely everything. He just soaked it all up.
What kind of ideas, politically speaking?
A real mix. Karl Marx, Engels, sure. But also Nietzsche, Sorel, Pareto, even Kant. He was wrestling with all the big philosophies of the day.
And languages, too, I read.
Yes. Fluent in English, French, and German, which becomes kind of important later when he first meets Hitler.
Interesting. So he starts out as a socialist journalist for Avanti, forward.
That's right. But then World War I hits, and that's the big turning point for him ideologically.
How so?
Well, his socialist friends were mostly against the war. Pacifists were seeing it as a capitalist conflict. But Mussolini, he saw it as this huge chance for Italy.
A chance to assert itself.
Exactly, to prove its greatness. This split was fundamental. It got him kicked out of the Socialist Party, and that's when he really pivots hard to the right, starts pushing this idea of Italian supremacy.
And he practiced what he preached. He fought, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. Volunteered, became a sharpshooter, a bersagliere, actually got wounded pretty badly, took like 30 pieces of shrapnel from a grenade. That took him off the front lines. So after the war, Italy's technically a winner, but things inside the country are messy.
The Biennio Rosso. The Red Biennium.
Exactly. 1919 to 1920. Massive worker unrest, strikes everywhere, socialists and communists occupying factories. A lot of turmoil.
And Mussolini saw this as an opportunity.
Or a threat.
A threat to Italy's potential, absolutely. And an opportunity for him. He got funding from big industrialists. Fiat was one to push back.
And this is where the black shirts come in?
Yes. The Squadristi, his paramilitary force, they clashed violently with the red shirts on the left. It was about imposing order, his kind of conservative anti-communist order, which leads us to October 1922, the March on Rome. Sounds dramatic.
It was a huge gamble. 60,000 black shirts marching from Milan to Rome, basically demanding the government resign.
But wait, you mentioned a crucial detail earlier.
Yes, Mussolini himself. He wasn't on the march. He stayed back in Milan.
Why?
Hedging his bets. He was reportedly ready to flee to Switzerland if it all went wrong.
Clever in a way. So what happened? Did the government resist?
The Prime Minister, Facta, wanted to declare martial law, but the king, Victor Emmanuel III, refused. He was worried about a full-blown civil war.
He just Gave in.
He accepted Facta's resignation and appointed Mussolini as prime minister. Just like that, Mussolini was in power. No coup needed in the end.
Wow. So once he's prime minister, he doesn't hang around. 1923, he declares himself Il Duce, the Duke.
Yeah, it wasn't just a title change. It signaled he was above the normal political fray, and then he started locking things down. Systematically. He set up his own militia, the Voluntary Militia for National Security, and the OVRA, his secret police, basically hunting down anti-fascists.
And dealing with opponents?
Ruthlessly.
Yeah.
Changed election laws to favor his party. And political rivals were eliminated. Giacomo Matteotti assassinated, Antonio Gramsci jailed, he died there later, he cleared the decks.
And he even managed to patch things up with the Catholic Church, which was a huge deal in Italy.
Immense. For decades, there'd been tension between the Italian state and the Vatican, the so-called Roman question.
It's the unification.
Exactly. But in 1929, Mussolini signs the Lateran Treaty with Pope Pius XI and the King.
What did that do?
It recognized Vatican City as an independent state, solved the Roman question, and crucially, it got Mussolini the Church's blessing, or at least its acceptance. Huge for his legitimacy and control over Italian society.
Okay, so while Mussolini's doing all this consolidating power, making deals with the Vatican, what's happening with Hitler back in Germany?
Well, this is where that student idea really comes into play. Hitler tries his own version of the March on Rome in 1923, the Beer Hall Putsch.
And it fails spectacularly.
Completely. He ends up in prison writing Mein Kampf.
Through most of the 1920s, honestly, Hitler was seen by many in Germany as, well, almost a political clown, a fringe figure.
Not gaining much traction.
Not really. But then comes 1929, the Wall Street crash.
Ah, the game changer.
Absolutely. The U.S. economy tanks, Hoover brings in America First tariffs, and it just devastates the German economy, which was already fragile after the war and hyperinflation.
Perfect conditions for an extremist message to take hold.
You got it. Suddenly, the Nazi Party, which had like 30 seats in parliament, rockets up to 107 seats in the 1930 elections. Desperation fueled their rise.
And all this time, Hitler's been watching Mussolini.
Oh, definitely. Mussolini's early success, his methods, they were a blueprint, especially propaganda. Mussolini was a master at crafting his image.
The action man persona. Yeah. Inspired by these popular Italian films, the machist movies, big, strong hero types, Mussolini staged photos of himself, shirtless, working in the fields, holding babies.
Projecting strength, connection to the land, the people.
Exactly. Creating this powerful, relatable persona. And you can see how Hitler later adopts similar techniques for his own image building, the student learning from the master propagandist.
So moving into the 1930s, Mussolini's ambitions expand beyond Italy itself. This idea of spazio vitale, living space.
Right. He truly believed Italy needed to reclaim the glory of the Roman Empire. That meant dominating the Mediterranean.
How did he plan to do that?
By looking for weaknesses, for gaps left by the other big powers like Britain and France. He pushed hard into Libya, faced tough resistance there from people like Omar Mukhtar, this elderly Bedouin leader.
Where else?
Tunisia, Somaliland, Eritrea, Djibouti, and the big one, Ethiopia, or Abyssinia, as it was often called then.
Why was Ethiopia so important?
Location, location, location. Control over access to the Suez Canal and the Red Sea. Very strategic. Plus, Italy got vital oil from Libya, a link that actually still matters today.
And his ambition wasn't just Africa.
No, he looked across the Adriatic Sea, too. Wanted control there. Modern Slovenia, Croatia, Serbia, Albania. He saw that whole region as Italy's backyard.
Which must have made Britain and France pretty nervous.
Increasingly uneasy, yes. His expansionism was becoming a major concern.
So the master and the student, Mussolini and Hitler, when do they actually meet face to face?
Hitler becomes Führer in 1933, his first big international trip, Italy, 1934.
How did that go?
It was all about the power dynamics. Mussolini deliberately chose Venice for the meeting.
Why Venice?
Because Austria had been forced to give Venice to Italy. It was a subtle way for Mussolini to say, I'm the dominant one here.
And visually.
Stark contrast. Mussolini turns up in full military uniform, looking imposing. Hitler arrives in a civilian suit, kind of awkward, wearing a raincoat.
Like the junior partner.
Very much so. And Mussolini made a point of speaking German to Hitler, trying to intimidate him further, showing off his language skills, maybe.
But fast forward a few years. Their second meeting, Rome, 1938. Things had changed.
Oh, dramatically. This time, Hitler arrives like a conqueror. Full military uniform, swastika armband, flanked by his top guys, Himmler, Goebbels, Ribbentrop.
A very different image.
Completely. The message was crystal clear. I'm not the student anymore. We are equals now. Or maybe I've even surpassed you.
And then, the formal alliance. The Pact of Steel, 1939. Italy, Germany, Japan. The Axis powers.
Yes, the official tie-up. But, as we've learned behind the scenes, it wasn't exactly harmonious.
How so?
Well, for starters, Hitler's invasion of Poland in September 1939 completely blindsided Mussolini.
Really? He didn't know it was coming.
He expected the war might start, but maybe in 1941 or 42, Italy was nowhere near ready. Financially drained, troops scattered across this new empire. They were just not prepared for a major European war in 39.
They were out of sync.
Totally dancing to different tunes, as one source put it.
And the Italian military itself, was it really up to the task compared to the Germans?
Honestly, no, not really. Mussolini loved grand parades, sure. There are stories he'd have his small air force fly over multiple times to look bigger, have troops march in circles.
All for show.
A lot of it seems to have been. The reality was different. His military strategy had some major blunders, attacking Greece, then trying for Turkey, the invasion of British Egypt. All costly failures.
Which dragged the Germans in.
Exactly. Germany had to keep diverting resources to bail Italy out. Hitler had to send Rommel, his best general, just to salvage the situation in North Africa.
That must have been embarrassing for Mussolini.
And damaging. There were even technical issues. Italian radar systems ironically invented by Marconi. An Italian apparently malfunctioned sometimes, leading to friendly fire incidents. Just disaster after disaster.
What did all this mean for the average Italian?
Well, the casualty numbers were lower than Germany's, thankfully, hundreds of thousands versus millions. But the constant drain on resources, the food shortages, the national humiliation of always needing German help, it really started to wear people down. Discontent was growing deep inside Italy.
And that discontent reached right to the top, didn't it? Inside his own fascist Grand Council.
Yes, a stunning development. The council meets, and 23 out of 24 members vote to oust him.
Including his own son-in-law.
Including Galeazzo Ceno, yeah. It was a complete betrayal from his inner circle. So, July 25th, 1943, the king, Victor Emmanuel III, calls Mussolini in, dismisses him, and has him arrested by the Carabinieri.
And just like that, Italy flips sides.
Pretty much immediately, they switch allegiance and join the Allies.
But Hitler wasn't done with Mussolini yet.
No. Despite everything, the military failures, the dragging Germany into messes, Hitler felt a strange loyalty. Or maybe he just needed a puppet. He orders this incredibly daring rescue mission.
Operation Hope.
That's the one. Otto Skorzeny and his commandos land gliders on top of this mountain resort, Gran Sasso, where Mussolini is being held prisoner.
And they get him out.
Without firing a single shot. It was an astonishing operation. They fly Mussolini out to Germany.
So Hitler rescues him, then what? Sets him up again.
Yes, installs him as the head of a new state in northern Italy, the Italian Social Republic, usually called the Salo Republic.
Yeah.
But it was really a German puppet state, totally reliant on German troops.
And meanwhile, the Allies are pushing up from the south.
Right. The Americans, British, and others are fighting their way up the Italian peninsula. Interestingly, the Americans got some unexpected help with their landing in Sicily.
Oof.
Mafia boss Lucky Luciano, apparently he used his contacts to smooth the way for the Allied invasion. History is strange.
It certainly is. And Mussolini back in charge in the north. What's he focused on?
Revenge, mostly. He rounded up the fascist council members who voted against him, the ones he could find, and had them executed.
Including Ciano, his son-in-law.
Yes, despite desperate pleas from Mussolini's own daughter, Edda, who is Ciano's wife, he showed no mercy.
And that bizarre footnote about Edda's bodyguard.
Ah, Emilio Pucci. Yes. An Italian Air Force officer assigned to protect her. He somehow escapes all this chaos, gets to Switzerland, and after the war, becomes a world-famous fashion designer. You couldn't make it up.
Unbelievable. Okay, so the end is near for Mussolini. The Salo Republic is collapsing. The Allies are advancing. What happens in his final moments?
He tries to flee, heading for Switzerland with his mistress, Clara Petacci, but they're caught near Lake Como by Italian resistance fighters, partisans.
And there's no trial.
No, they're executed pretty much on the spot. Summary justice by firing squad.
And then the final grim spectacle in Milan.
Yes, their bodies were taken to Piazzale Loreto in Milan, a place where fascists had previously executed partisans, and hung upside down from a petrol station girder. A really brutal, visceral display of the people's fury at him and the regime.
A truly dark end. So with Mussolini Mussolini gone, what happens to Italy? Does the monarchy survive?
No. King Victor Emmanuel III, tainted by his long association with Mussolini, abdicates in 1946. Italy holds a referendum.
To decide the future.
Exactly. And the vote is decisive. Abolish the monarchy, establish a republic, the Repubblica Italiana. And that's what Italy has been ever since. A complete break with that fascist past and the monarchy that enabled it.
So that completes our trio: Hitler, Churchill, Mussolini. Looking back at Mussolini now, what's the big takeaway?
I think what stands out from this deep dive is how these leaders, Mussolini and Hitler included, were products of their time, of the zeitgeist, the spirit of the age.
How so?
Well, this obsession with empire, with needing more land, with expansion as the measure of national greatness, that was a powerful idea back then. It seems almost alien to us now, perhaps, but it drove so much of their actions.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? What's the spirit of our time? How will our definitions of success or greatness look to people in the future?
Exactly. Will they look back at us and see the logic, or will they just scratch their heads and wonder, what on earth were they thinking?
A sobering thought. History isn't just about knowing what happened.
It's about understanding why people at the time thought it was the right thing to do or the necessary thing to do. And it's always an invitation, really, for you, the listener, to keep digging, keep questioning those standard narratives, and find the surprising connections hidden beneath the surface.